This be a Craftsman reciprocating saw, or Sawzall, and in Canada, Sears has closed down, so one cannot buy blades for these anymore unless you get them shipped in internationally. So I tried putting in some Dewalt blades, the yellow ones, but I found out that the Craftsman blades, typically are white, like that one, are 50 thousandths thick, and the Dewalts are 60 thousandths thick. So they don't fit. This, I've tried to do a number of modifications on this jaw that holds the blades, and it has not worked. So it's not going to be as convenient, but what I'm going to do is put a screw in there that will clamp the blade. So I'm going to replace the pin that retains, and I'm going to put a screw in there because it's kind of useless the way it is. So that pin has to come out. That's the pin that goes into the hole that's in the end of the blade, and then the spring kind of holds it in there, but the spring is just giving up. The blade is too loose after I've modified it, and it pops out. And that was a problem I had with the original Craftsman blades before I started doing anything with this jaw as well. They would just pop out occasionally. They are quite loose in there, so hopefully the screw will take care of that problem. I can clamp things up and it will stay where it is supposed to be. This is a pretty powerful reciprocating saw, and I've been quite happy with it over the years. So for a little bit of effort, I'm going to see if I can keep using it. Stay tuned. So to get the jaw out, there's a hole here. It's got a Allen headed screw in there. There's an Allen wrench that comes with the saw, and that holds the chuck in. It retains the blade. So I'm going to pop that out. It involves completely removing that screw, and then the chuck will come out. And there's this chuck, spring retainer in the front, pin underneath right there, and then here's the screw that retains it. So you have to line up the chuck within where the hole is. Moves quite a bit across. So now I'm going to have to drive the pin out here in order to get access to drive this pin out here. So clamp it up, not tight, just enough to allow just to hold it and allow the pin to slip through. I think it probably is better this way. There's a bit of a burr or a head, I'm not sure which, on the other end of that pin. So it goes better one way than the other. Get it so it's loose, so that punch will not go all the way through, and then gently drive it out that way. There you have it. There's this portion here. Then there's this spring. Not much of a spring, or just a retaining plate. And then the assembly in the back. It's beveled towards the rear, and the spring underneath goes on a pin that's inside. A spacer I made, but it really wasn't doing anything. So I'll pull that out. Now to drive this pin out here. See if I can thread that hole and put a screw in there. I'm going for stainless steel because it's a little tougher than soft steel, and it's going to take a pounding, so it might be a wear item. And there's the pin, right there. Funny how messy workbenches look really messy. in video. This is the tricky bit. There we go. Easier than expected. I've got a long reach vise on the other end of this shop, and if this doesn't work easily, then I will go down there and use the punch and the reach of the jaws. But there it is, came out. Try and thread this for the screw. This is another place I have to be quite careful. I'll put some tapping oil there, cutting fluid. I really don't want to break this tap. Unless I go right through the top plate, this is always going to be loose within the jaw. Not really what I'm looking for either, but the option is to buy a new saw. See if that works. I'll check the screw. Okay, that feels good. That should work. I'll start putting it back together. It goes there. It moves pretty freely. I'm going to shove this in anyway just to try and prevent it from swinging up too far. I like to try and keep it close as I can. This has to go in. So the curved portion is up, the blade goes on this side of it. There we go. I'll put this one back in. There's a little lip right there that has to push on that spring. If you get caught behind, it doesn't go together properly. I'll just tap that in a bit. There we go. Even out the spacing. Okay. So what I'm going to have to do now, from now on, is the screw has to be tightened and loosened every time I want to change the blade. Not ideal, but not really a huge problem either. So there it is. It's ready to go back in. It's got about a 3/8 inch screw. Should be a 632. And then I've put a piece of spring steel in there, which I got from just strapping for pallets and so on. Just got a few bands of that I cut off pieces off every once in a while. So I've got two pieces in there, one on each side of the lever of this. Try and make it a little more rigid so it's not as much travel. I'm trying to get it back down a little tighter so there's not as much flop in the blade, and that's much better than it was. And the screw goes through the hole in the blade, and it seems to be retained quite well, so we'll see how long that lasts. So now just to put this back inside the saw. Try it out. I'm going to be using this to cut some nails in old pallets for taking apart for the chicken coop. So to change it, Phillips head in this case, enough room for it to come out, pops out, put in the metal blade, tighten that up. It's held. Let's go try it out. Now you see that, oh, yeah, okay, it's taping now. You saw that little movie thing there? Okay, so here we have a reciprocating saw. Evie, granddaughter, is helping.
Yeah.
It helps if you get a side that's got nails in it. I haven't already cut.